Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you for attending our webinar today. We are going to introduce the BIM-based quantity takeoff with 3D to you. And for today, I am the host, Xavier Wang, and we will have our technical manager, Mr. Eric Lee, with us. Hi, Eric.
Hi, good to be here.
Okay. So today we are going to introduce the BIM usage in quantity takeoff and also our solution Cubicost by Codan. I am the channel manager of Codan, Xavier Wang. Here is my contact. If you have further question, you can contact me. And also for the technical part and our software demo, we'll have Mr. Eric Lee, our technical manager. This is his contact. First of all, I would like to introduce the parts of today's session. First of all, I will introduce Codan, what Codan is, who are we, and the second part is I will take the overview of being in the construction construction industry. And for the third part, I will introduce what has changed for QS works. And for fourth, I will go to the clients and testimony. And for fifth part, Mr. Eric will show us the demo for the software today. And first, we are Codan. Codan is a digital building solution provider. We provide the digital solution across the entire life cycle of the construction industry. And as you can see, we have over 100 professional applications in construction engineering field, and we have over 180,000 global corporate clients. And also, we have over 6 million construction projects using our software and solutions. This is the layout of our company. We founded in 1998, and we stepped into the international market in 2008. We have over 60 branches and subsidiaries. I just list some of the branches in the map because if we list them all, we cannot put them in one picture. And we have 5 R&D centers across the world, 3 in China, Beijing headquarters, Shanghai, and Xi'an, 1 in the US and 1 in Finland. And these are the locations that we have office or resellers. Besides direct sales or software development, we have extensive cooperation. We cooperate with the top university in the world, including Tsinghua University, Beijing University, and also in the US, University of the Maryland, and famous QS-related associations, RICS, PACS, IQSI, and so on. And also top technology companies. We have cooperation with Huawei, Microsoft on the cloud technology, and also we have partnership with Autodesk. Sometimes we also have cooperation with the government. For instance, the Singapore BCA. And this is the partnership, a strategic partnership between Codan and Autodesk. These numbers shows how much we devote into the technology R&D of Codan. For the past 3 years, we devote over 300 million US dollar. So what does these numbers mean? It means that compared with other software companies, Codan can release the new update twice faster compared with them. And second, I will take the overview of BIM in construction industry. This number shows the BIM usage trend in the world. And this is the official policy proposed by different countries. Since I believe most of you comes from the Middle East, here in Dubai, we can take a look at this document. The Dubai government asked the project to apply BIM technology based on these types of projects. The first one is over 20 floors, or the area is over 200,000 square foot, and other special facilities or government project or foreign offices. So BIM is becoming more and more important. And one of the biggest contractor in the world, Skanska, they also propose their own digital construction platform. Their goal to use their platform is to reach cost reduction by 20% and 25% faster and improve the entire quality of the project. So what are the dimensions that they use in BIM? BIM is not only for design. We have 3D for modeling and data. We have 4D for time scheduling, and 5D for cost and the cash flow, and 6D for the environment quality, and 7D for the maintenance and operation. These are the concepts. These are the concepts, but we can also discuss more on the technology. Today, here, I will not introduce the concept. We will introduce what we have currently. In the BIM technology, in fact, we have the software, the solutions across the entire life cycle from design stage, construction stage, maintenance stage, and also depending on what the solution can do, it can be separated into mainly 3 levels. As you can see at the top, enterprise level, we have BIM phase. It can manage all the data and all the BIM model within the entire enterprise. And for project level, we have G site. And below project level, this is more easy to understand. We have application systems, including like engineering, cost, planning, safety, quality, and some drawing management. And for today, we'll mainly focus on cost, which is our Cubicost solution series. And we have these tools, these softwares. And so for this part, BIM is not only for design. We can use BIM to do many other things. And for QS works, in the past, we use Excel. We sometimes use some 2D based software to help us. But now, with the promotion of BIM, QS will also using BIM as well. So it's time that the company and also individuals, all the professionals, to choose whether they should use the technology or left behind. And here in the Middle East, I show the trend of the market in UAE. In the past, the growth rate was 1.1, is quite slow, but the market is boosting. It just rose to 4.6. And also under this situation, according to the survey, what will impact the entire industry the most? The first one is the advanced software. The second one is BIM. So according to this data, we can tell that software, BIM-based software, will become the crucial part for all of us. So what has changed for QSs? We just saw the data, we just saw the trend. Here I will introduce the way we're doing QS works. In the past, in the traditional way, you use the rulers, we use the calculator, we scale the length, we scale the areas, and we get the volume. Afterwards, we tabulate the list numbers into Excel. Then we create the formula. We have to remember all the standard measurement rules released by no matter it is official or by some famous associations. We have to remember all these things, and we have to create this formula so that we can get the correct number. It takes time, but with the computer is become more common. We use 2D software. It helps to replace the ruler, we replace the calculator with some software, but we still have to create the formula and do the deduction by ourselves. So the result sometimes is not that correct, and also it takes time. So what will be in the future, and for now, it is the 3D based software. It is the future, and also most of the leading companies are using it. We just read the drawings, we form the model quickly, and the software will do the rest of the works for you directly, and you get the report, you get the quantity directly, precisely. So this is the changes for the QS works. And for today, we will mainly focus on one of our software is called TAS. TAS is the BIM-based quantity takeoff software for architecture and structure. As we can see, for Cubicost, we have 4 main products. TAS is for architecture and structure. TRB is for reinforcement bar, and TBQ is for bill of quantity, making the BQ, and TME is for mechanical and electrical. So TAS basically can fix most of the things for the quantity takeoff. And as a quantity surveyor, I believe most of you can receive these 3 types of the drawings: hard copy, scan PDF, a CAD, and vector PDF, or sometimes even IFC. With these 3 types, you normally have to get the quantity in Excel. You have to calculate, you have to do deduction, but we divided 3 methods to input all these drawings into our model, our software. The first way, if you get the hard copy, you get a scan PDF, you just directly draw in a model. It will be quick. And if you are lucky, you get the CAD, you can directly identify. Within a few clicks, you get the entire model. And if the company giving you the IFC, you can even get the entire model directly. And with the embedded rules in the software, you can have the quantity report. So the entire process is quite simple, and it's time saving. So for the Middle East, we have UAE Principles of Management International for Works of Construction. This is the standard measurement method for the Middle East, also for most of the countries. So the result will be always right. And let's see how it works. We just introduce all the concepts. This shows that you get all kinds of drawings, and you have to take off the quantity. You input into our software, and you will get the 2D drawings in the software. Afterwards, you form the model very quick and directly. You get all the quantities. And for today, I believe some of you are new here, and some of you may attend the previous webinar. For the previous part, we have already introduced what TAS can do, and for today, we'll more emphasize on the finishes, because some software, they can only take off, let's say, the structure part, the architecture part, but for finishes, it's also one of the features that TAS can do. As you can see on the screen, we have all the structures. We have beams, columns, walls, and with only a few clicks, we can place all the finishes into the model, and you get the 3D model for the floor finishes, the wall finishes, and so on. And you can even see the detail and what to do with the specific part. For example, what do you do with the beam, what do you do with the column, and what you do with the wall. All the calculation result will be shown in the software as well. I think Eric will introduce more specific function in the live demo later. And with the building local rules, for different regions, we have the standard measurement rules for that country. So all of these are embedded in TAS, so that we will get the correct result. And compare with the traditional way, we do the quantity takeoff task manually or with software, the difference will be 4 times faster. As you can see, if you do it manual way, it will take 49 days. If you take it, if you use Cubicost, it takes less than 2 weeks. And this is the one feature that Cubicost can do. Different QS can collaborate with each other by forming the model separately. For example, some people do building A, some people do building 2, and some do the foundation, some do the commercial area, and eventually they can combine together to get one big model, and you can get all the accurate quantities directly. This is what TAS can do. And for our leading clients in consultant, we have Arcadis, ROB, AECOM, Northcroft, and other companies. In contractors, we have Obayashi, Shimizu, EI, and Samsung. And developers, we have Savannah Jurong, EcoWorld, and some other contractors. And this is the feedback from our clients. As we can see from the smile, there's no need to explain more. And here are some projects that using Cubicost. As you can see, Cubicost can do really complex projects. And also we have high efficiency improvement compared with their original method. This one, it can reach even over 60% improvement. And also for this kind of shape, we can also do it very well. And for the next part, I think I will have Mr. Eric doing the live demo for us. Eric?
Okay, thank you, Xavier.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm just gonna take over the presentation now. There we go. And for today, what I have for you is I'm just going to go through very quickly, as what Xavier has pointed out, just to very quickly show you how our software is able to do some measurements if you have a 2D drawing, convert into 3D. And today we are going to focus mostly on the finishes part. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to our software, our pride and joy, which is TAS C. Now, TAS C is it stands for Cubicost Takeoff for architecture and structure. So the architecture and structure part includes the concrete, formwork, finishes, block works, excavation, and so on. So I'm just going to quickly introduce to you the interface of our software. Now, for starters, this in front here, you can actually see like they are just some of the projects that I've been working on. For previous projects, you can actually see it all listed here. On the left side, you can see like a list of commands which will allow you to click on new projects and open the previous projects. Of course, you can change the languages from English to other different languages. There's also the unit option, which you will see a little bit later on. And there are also some handy tools which will allow you to actually check what's the latest highlights in the current version, as well as a help toolbar. So without further ado, I'm just going to quickly create a separate project. So for example, just could name this as demo. And for the calculation rules, you can see there's actually quite a lot of calculation rules here, and you may choose different calculation rules according to the regions that you're at, or according to the projects, the location of your projects where you're in. So for example, if you have a project in Malaysia, you can get the Malaysian rules. If you have a project in Singapore, you can get one in Singapore. So just quickly create that. By the way, if you have any questions to ask at any given time, just drop it into the chat bar and we will attend to that at the end of the session. So just going to quickly create the projects, and this is what our Cubicost TAS looks like. It has a ribbon style interface whereby the buttons that you can use is actually separated according to the stages of measurement works. For example, you'll need to start off with your project settings, where you can insert vital information such as the owners and architects of the projects. You can then go to floor settings and insert all the different floors that you have. If you have 30-story building, you can just insert it up to 30, so just insert it quickly. Next part is on the 3D model, but for today we'll be focusing on the 2D part. Next step is on identify, where we will actually use most of the time while dealing with a 2D drawing, as currently there's just a few developers or architects or engineers who actually produce 3D models. So we just, for the relevance of measurement works, we just stick to this first. Then there's draws for editing the models. View will allow you to change the views of your projects. And finally, you can get your quantities from the quantity tab here. On the left-hand side, you can see a full list of your elements, which possible elements that will be inside your projects. And this is what we'll be using for today. Now, at the bottom here, there's actually 3 tabs or 3 modules that we have, which is modeling, BQ, and report. Modeling is where you will get your measurement quantities. BQ is where you will do your bills of quantities, so you can import your bills of quantities from Excel or etc. And report is where you can get detailed report depending on what type of quantities you're looking for. For example, if you want a detailed report on formwork, you can get it from there as well. So just going to start off by quickly creating a simple frame of a building. Just going to open up the project. And for example, I'm just going to open up the structural layout plan. Now, this is a very simple project of a double-story bungalow. So I'm just going to do like a few floors. So first off, I'm just going to split out the drawings. We also have that inside our software. You don't have to ask the architect or engineer to provide you with separate, so you can just do it directly inside here. So once I split that out, and I have my details, and then just quickly generate the axis is actually the reference point for all our projects. Now, do bear in mind that the TAS is a 3D based measurement tool, and that being said, it is very important to make sure all of your floors is aligned at a single location. It's not as simple as a 2D measurement where you can count the number of columns, measure the length of the beams. If the position is a little bit off, then you'll get wrong quantities. Okay, so just going to quickly go through the columns, beams, and slabs. So start off with columns. So just picking the sidelines, picking the labels, auto-identify, and just with a few clicks, we already have a very fundamentary column generated, just like that. Moving on to the beam, do the same thing. So pick the sideline, pick the label, and auto-identify. Just let it run, let the process run by itself, and you have all your beams. Last but not least, we get some slab in. So just click the label. If there's any opening, you can just click on the opening. They can identify the slab. Click OK, and there you go. And we have just within less than, I think, 3 minutes, I already have the beams, slabs, as well as the columns for a single floor. Now, I'm just going to go through very simply as well for the walls and doors and windows, just to give our finishes a bit of dimension later on. So for that, I'm just going to import our architecture layout plan. So just open it. And what I'm essentially doing is I will be selecting the layout plan for my architecture, which is here for my ground floor. Select the drawing name, click OK. And I'll be moving my drawings to whatever I have right now. Just see here. Just backtrack a little bit. There you go. Now I can actually move it across. So just move this to the correct location. And what I've essentially done is I've laid out the architectural drawing over the existing structure of the drawing. Now, by using the 3D software, you can actually like measure things separately. Everything needs to be measured like together to get the proper reductions and whatnot. So for example, if you have a brick wall that goes through like columns and beams and openings, it needs to be in the correct location so that the software can actually detect all these interactions and perform its needed deductions and whatnot. So without further ado, let's just go through and create some walls as well. So this one is my masonry wall. So just gonna pick my masonry wall, doors and windows, and auto identify, just let it run. Then I'm gonna do the same for my doors and windows as well. So just go to doors and windows openings. And I'm quickly just gonna load in the schedule which I have, as you can see here. My doors and windows schedule is inside my CAD drawing, so I can import that as well. So just pick it up, door window schedule, just pick out the CAD drawing. And from here, I just need to do some adjustments, just removing like the rows, make sure the names and remarks and everything is listed properly. And click on identify. Now all my doors and windows are generated. And from there, I just need to pick my door and window label. And then run the auto identify function. Then you have your doors and windows, just like this. Now, for instance, if you are working through halfway and you found out that, okay, there's some difference or some changes in my floor height, you can just go to your floor settings and then change the height. For example, if this is 4 meters instead of 3, you can just click on 4 meters instead. And just by changing this height, you can actually see these changes reflected directly inside your software or inside your measurement. You can see that the height has increased by a little bit. And for this, is actually not doable in like a 2D measurement where you actually have to adjust a lot of formulas in order to get the accurate quantities out. Now, so for now, I have my doors and windows, I have my frames, my beams, my slabs and columns. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give it a very simple sort of like a lintel for my doors and windows, since this is a masonry wall. So just by clicking on a few buttons, just by clicking on lintels, creating a new lintel. Maybe I just put this as a concrete lintel. And then I'm just going to quickly place this over my doors and windows. And just like that, if I zoom in closer, you will see that now my doors and windows have lintels. As simple as that, just by a few clicks. Now I have everything that I need for one single floor. To show you what I have now, I'm just going to go through a southwest view. And this is what I have. I have my walls, I have my slabs, I have my beams, and I have my columns for one floor. If you have a typical floor, it's as simple as switching the floor and then copying this upwards. So I'm just turn off my drawing, copy by floor, copy from other floor, and copy everything up. So you can copy to multiple floors as well. Just click OK. And from there, if you take a look at the entire project now, you will have a very simple but accurate model of your project. Now, at this point, if you are someone like a tenderer, or if you're a consultant or contractor, you can actually screenshot this, or if you can actually save this model out as a picture and attach this together with your tender, so that you can have sort of like a difference compared to other tenderers as well. At least you're able to properly justify like where all your quantities come from, and you're able to let the client know like, okay, this is what you're actually going to have in your in the future. So enough about that. I'm just going to go back into the finishes part, which is the main focus point for today. Now for finishes, there are a few items which we can do. I'll just open up the finishes part and just move all this. Just smaller. Okay, so finishes down here. Now for finishes, we have different methods of finishes that we can use. The first and foremost one is the room method. Now, room method here is actually suitable for example, if you have a hotel or offices, or even like condominium apartments and things like that. So areas which have a lot of repeated finishes in them. Now, for example, bathrooms, bedrooms, if you're using the same types of finishes, then room function will be very simple to use. Now, for example, I'm just going to import this as well, just import a finishes schedule. Now, the finishes schedule can be from an Excel. Just a very simple Excel file. Just click open. And the Excel file can simply look like this, where you have your rooms, you have your floor finishes, you have your wall finishes, you have your waterproof for vertical and horizontal, you have your skirting type, skirting height, ceiling finishes, and the suspended ceilings. So it can be as simple as that. It does not need to be as complicated as this. It can be as simple as floor finish, wall finish, and also your ceiling finish. But if you have any other details, it should be fine. So this one is the horizontal waterproof, and this one will be the vertical waterproof. Skirting height, and the rest I can just remove. Once I'm done with that, I can click on identify. Okay, close it. And this is what I have now. So I have a list of possible rooms or areas which I can reuse for multiple parts of the project. So for example, if I have the utility area, I can just select my utility room, which has cement render for the floor finish. For the wall finish, you just have 20 mm thick plaster and paint, and for ceiling finish, you have 20 mm thick plaster and paint. So just place the room in, and lo and behold, you have your wall finishes. You have your floor finishes as well, which I can turn on. This is your floor finish, and you have your ceiling finish, just like this. Everything is in with just one click. Now you can also see that inside the ceiling finish, you will see some sort of like a drop or intersection here, or interaction right here. You don't see it from here, like what is causing it, but it is actually caused by a beam on the next floor, which is in first floor. And these are the items that you will miss out during manual calculation or 2D calculation. Like these deductions and additions, you will miss this. Okay, so this is the fundamental part of using our finishes. Just to give you an example, I'm just going to do the wet kitchen as well. Now, wet kitchen here has a little bit more items in it. For floor finish, you have ceramic tiles. Waterproof, you have dam-proof membrane, and also vertical 1800 height for dam-proof membrane. So you can just put the height as 1800. Ceramic tiles, and for skirting and also for wall finish, ceramic tiles as well. Ceiling finish, you have custom paint, so it's as simple as just clicking on the button and selecting which area you want it to be, and that's it. The whole area will be filled up. You can see like the skirting right here as well, and the floor finish right here. Now, what if you have an area, an open area with multiple types of finishes or multiple types of room per se? Like for example, this whole open area is divided into dry kitchen, casual dining, dining area, living area, and the lobby as well. So if I just pick a dry kitchen room and try to place it at this area, what would happen is that my room will actually overflow out into other areas, which is actually not ideal because we don't want it to go to other areas. For example, dining room might have marbles, but in dry kitchen you have ceramic tiles for the floor finish. So we don't want that. We're just going to undo that area. And what we can do is that our software will then allow you to separate out finishes according to the designated area by the architect. For example, just going to separate out my dry kitchen just like this. No need to be too accurate about it. Just cut it out. Then this is my casual dining. Just draw out a line. Followed by the dining area. Let's just segment this part out for the casual dining. We just cut off this hole as well because there's a staircase which is supposed to be there. And last but not least, just cut out the lobby as well. Okay, there's another one more right here, which is the living area. So I'm just gonna cut out right here for the lobby, and that's it. Doesn't seem like much, but when you take a look at 3D, you can actually see like the indication, like where it ends. But when I click on dry kitchen now, and I try to place it in, it will not overflow, which means the floor finishes will only end up here, right at this area here. So you can then separate out your areas according to your finishes according to your rooms. For example, casual dining is here. All right, so this is sort of like just an example of what our software does to handle for finishes. Now, there are a few other scenarios that we want to go through, whereby a very common example would be, what if a different uh, one piece of wall within that room has a different type of finishes. So the simplest example would be sort of like a kitchen, where the kitchen wall, which has the sink on it, will probably have sort of like tiles, but other places can be like plaster and paint to save cost and things like that. So what happens, or how do we deal with that? Now, first off, before I go into like how to actually deal with all these items, I will just show you another small little neat feature which will allow you to actually see what our software does, or how the software arranges the finishes. So you can just click on the floor finishes, for example. Now we have a few types of floor finishes here, which is cement render, ceramic tiles, anti-slip tiles, and a timber platform. So just to give it a little bit of a difference, because right now it's all the same, I'm just going to assign a material to it. So just cement render, I'm just going to import something which looks something like a cement render. Granite, don't really have something under cement. Let's just see if we have something for plaster. This looks close enough, so just run this. Okay, click OK, select. All right, for the 300 by 300 ceramic tiles, it's going to assign that as well. Just going to assign another one more. Now, this texture pack comes together with the software, so you don't have to go through like Google's or any other sites to look for those material textures for it to represent like what you want to see. It's already there, unless you want to have a very specific specific like presentation, then you can have that as well. For example, just put like simple tile. Yep, just select this one. You can immediately see like what you can the difference between the ceramic tiles as well as the cement render. I'm just not going to go through the anti-slip tiles as well. So for waterproof, you can obviously can't assign anything because you're not supposed to take a look at the waterproof. You can see the waterproof here, right here and here. You can also check the vertical waterproof right here. If I turn off the wall, you can actually check the vertical waterproof. Now, even from this view, you can see that our software will automatically take into account the deductions for windows and openings. Now, if I turn back on the wall, you will see that there is actually an opening right here. Just right there. So if you are manually measuring this on a 2D platform, you will have to bear in mind that you have this kind of opening and how much of this opening is actually intersecting with the waterproof, and you have to do that manually. But not for the software, as since this is 3D, everything is captured and displayed in one go. For skirting, I can just assign the skirting as well. Just put the tiles as well for the skirting. You can see very clearly that the tiles is there. So for wall finish, you have two types. One is the plaster and paint, the other is the ceramic tiles. Now bear with me a minute as I'm going through, like I'm setting up like these cases so that you can actually very clearly see like how to assign finishes to a piece of wall within that room, which is not the same as the rest. So ceramic tiles, just pick ceramic tiles as well, and there you go. You will sort of have like an accurate representation of the entire finishes. There you go. Now taking a look back at the room, right? So I have my dry kitchen and I have my wet kitchen. Now, for example, if I want, um, let's say for my dry kitchen, I only want this wall to be my to be using tiles. I mean, if I'm the developer and I want to save costs, I just want this part to be tiles, and the rest I can use plaster and paint. What I can quickly do is within my room assignment, I can just select on the appropriate um, room, and I can just reassign this. So for example, now I have ceramic tiles. I can just reassign this wall finishes as plaster and paint instead of ceramic tiles. Just untick that, and I just let the software refresh its calculation or generation of model. Just refresh it, okay, and that's it. It has changed to plaster and paint as well. But hang on a moment, it has changed every single wall to plaster and paint, and I don't want that. I want part of this to be, I want one of this wall to be um, tiles instead of plaster and paint. What I can then do is I can specifically select the wall finishes in this area right here and change it into ceramic tiles. And just like that, I have one piece of wall within my entire finishes or entire dry kitchen, which has tiles without affecting the rest. So this is just one of the scenarios that you will encounter. Now, what if for a different scenario, for my wet kitchen, for example, what if my tiles does not reach full height? For example, half my wall is tiles and the rest is plaster and paint. Maybe it's a design by the architect, or maybe just to save costs. So what do I do then? Now it depends on whether you want to assign this type of finishes to the entire room or to one of that wall itself. Now I'm going to show you how to assign it to the entire room. And for assigning to that one wall is basically the same, just applying what we've did earlier. So I'm going to use wet kitchen to demonstrate. So just go into room, go into the wet kitchen part. And for wet kitchen, instead of one type of finishes, I'm going to add in 2. So part of it is plaster and paint, and part of it is ceramic tiles. So if I want my ceramic tiles to be, for example, 2.8, sorry, not 2.8, it'll be too high up. For example, 1.8 meters from the ground, right? So what I just need to do is just assign all this to the correct location. So I'm just going to put this to plus 1.8. And for my plaster and paint, I want it to start from 1.8 meters up. I mean, you don't want it to overlap, and you don't want it to use like additional money to do that the calculation. So 1.8 as well. And just like that, what I can then do, now you can see that there's no actual difference. For every changes that I made, all I just need to do is click on regenerate finishes entity, regenerate for that room only, for the wall finishes. Or I can just regenerate everything. Just click OK, and that's it. Now you have a wall with split finishes. So yeah, this is just like the gist of how to use the software for finishes measurement. Now for the I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the floor finishes. Now floor finishes is the same thing. If you would want a different type of finishes within that room, like parts of it is tiles, parts of it is anti-slip, or parts of it is cement render, or part of it is timber. What the room does is to fill the entire area with the same type of finishes. Hence why I said it's more useful for applications of, let's say, apartments and offices, where you have very simple, very straightforward finishes. Now for homes and bungalows and personal designs, you may have a little bit more complicated designs, and from there you can just split out your areas and assign the appropriate type of finishes to that area. So for example, I'm going to split here, split like this, and it's split now. So currently I'm using a 300 by 300 ceramic tiles for this area. So for example, if I wanted to use timber, I can just switch this to timber, enter, yes. And just like that, part of it is now timber. As simple as that. Okay, just assign this to make it a little bit better. I'm not sure if I have any timber or wood. There you go, wood. Just open this and then select this. There you go. Looks very simple, very clear to use. So the last part before I pass it back to my colleague, Xavier, and for the Q&A session, and also to wrap things up, is I want to talk a little bit about the suspended ceiling. Now, suspended ceilings are things like moisture-resistant plasterboards or any types of plasterboards, which means it's the finishes that is not attached directly to the soffit of the slab above. For example, for bathrooms, right here. So what you can do is you can actually just assign like a height from where the floor is, and you can just place this in. So with this being placed, you will actually see that the suspended ceiling is dropped right here. Now, there have been actually quite a lot of questions regarding the suspended ceiling, like am I able to measure like the vertical part for the suspended ceiling? And my answer to that is yes. Now, for example, I'm just going to split this out to show you what it would look like if you have different height suspended ceiling. Now, for example, I'm going to put this at 3,500 meters above the floor, and it will look something like this. Kind of odd, but some halls, maybe cinemas or other types of like convention halls will have these kind of situations, and you'll sort of have a big gap right here. Now, how do you deal with that? The answer is there's another item or another function inside our software called define vertical surface. So you just can quickly click on that and click on the define vertical surface. Select on the item that you want, click on this. Okay, then right click right here, I'm just going to put it at 2D. This one, right click, and just see here, define vertical surface. These two right here. Oh yeah, forgot about this. Just have to click on this vertical surface. What's the difference again? So it's 2.7 versus 3.5, so it's about 800 meters difference. So 800 mm. And I want to define for this specific edge because I don't want my vertical items to go into my wall. So just click on specific edge. So just need to click on this edge right here. Right click and just go through here. Define vertical surface, and I'm just going to plug it right here. And what you will have is you will have the vertical surface to cover up the area as well. And it's as simple as that. So I guess that's going to be all from me, and I think we can go into the Q&A part. Xavier, any questions that we have?
Yes. We have 5 questions, and I will pick some of them related to the topic today. First question is that can we split floor or wall finishes? I think this one has already been answered by using the separation line. Eric, can you explain more about separation line?
Right, sure. For separation line is essentially an item in the software which does not give you any quantities whatsoever. The sole purpose of separation line is to separate out areas that you may want to use for different purposes. Now, for example, like I've already shown here, in this area right here, you have dry kitchen and also casual dining. Now, if you use separation line to separate out the different areas that you may have. You can also use separation line for other reasons, for example, floor finishes, for ceiling finishes, if you would like to use that separation line as well. However, it is more commonly used to edit for rooms because the room function is the most useful function for finishes inside the software, and it actually helps the QS or measurer to tick off the quantities very quickly, especially for repeated parts. Now, for example, if you can imagine a apartment project where you have multiple bathrooms, multiple different type or the same types of bedrooms, master bedrooms, bedroom A, bedroom B, which have the same types of finishes. You can just use the separation line, separate those things apart, and just place the rooms into this appropriate location. Then you will have all the things separated just like that. So I hope that has answered the question. I believe there's another more interesting question here, which is what is the difference between split and separation lines inside the software? Now, this is a very good question. Now, separation line does not affect the existing items that you have already drawn. Now, for example, if I have already drawn my room here, which is casual dining, I'm just going to use the room as an example. Let's just say floor finish, right? Now for floor finish, for example, in my wet kitchen right here, I've already filled this up to be, let's just quickly check that, 300 by 300 ceramic tiles. Now, if I were to click on separation line and I put like a separation line right in the middle, it will not affect my existing items, as you can see here. However, for splitting, split is to adjust for items that you have already drawn. You can't split something that you have not drawn. Now, for example, here, if you want to ever split out this, let me just see where is suitable. Now, for example, this guest room right here, right? I'm just gonna turn off the beam so that it looks clearer. Dressing room and also the dressing. Now you can't actually split the area if you haven't drawn anything. Like right now, I can't actually select anything, but you can use the separation line to predetermine where you want it to be. For example, right here. If you want to use split, you will first need to draw the finishes out, then split the items and change the attributes. But for separation line, you can predetermine where all the locations is supposed to split out, and you can then assign them accordingly. So yeah, that's the difference. And I think that
Okay.
would be the thing that's the questions we have time for today. Xavier, you want to quickly wrap up the session?
Yes, and in fact, I have one more question to answer. I think
Sure.
some of the attendees may have the same question. Can I have the screen?
Of course, sure. I'll just pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, from this model, it shows that for tasks, not only tasks, for all of our software, you may receive these three types of the drawings. And to collaborate with other software, we can use IFC file. So in fact, TAS is a highly collaborable software with other software, including that like the mostly seen Revit, and also anyone that you can transform into these types of the file. You can collaborate with TAS. So TAS, it is the only software in the market can simultaneously doing these types of file. So I think this can answer the questions. And lastly, I want to sum up uh, the benefits of using BIM-based software. First of all, as you can see, Eric has already demonstrated to you, while you are building a model, it's quite like a process that you are reading the drawings. So after you read the drawings, you build the model simultaneously and you finish all your rest of your works. So your efficiency of work will improve averagely, according to our statistic, will reach 60 to 70%. And secondly, um, according to the feedback from our clients, they tend to get the higher chance to get the tender and the win the bidding by using the software because they have more accurate result. The software gives them more competitive. And the third reason is that it is highly collaborable, as I show you in the very beginning. Some let's say, for instance, 5QS can collaborate with each other for different parts of one single building. And for the fourth part, we kind of transform the way that QS doing their works. We save them from using all the rulers, calculator, Excel into like build a model instead. So it will be more interest for them to work, and it will be higher uh, accurate and for better efficiency. And lastly, it is easy to communicate with the world's largest BIM-based QS customer because, as I show you, AECOM, Arcadis, IOB, all the major companies are all our clients. And besides, TAS, in fact, Cubicost is highly collaborable with other software. So these are the reasons for using BIM-based software, especially when you choosing Cubicost. So I think this is for today. Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, you can drop in the question tab and we will answer this question individually to you. And after this meeting, we will also send the email attaching the link to this record to you. For this webinar, we will make it as a series. We will introduce different topics every once or twice a month. So you can join us for every individual webinar. Thank you very much and thank you for the attending. And also thank you, Eric. This is for today. Have a good
Yep,
day.
my pleasure. Yeah.
Bye bye.
See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye bye.